President Trump announcing a new plan to sell a pathway to U.S. citizenship for the wealthy, that is. Take a listen.
We're going to be doing something else that's going to be very, very good. We're going to be selling a gold card. You have a green card. This is a gold card. We're going to be putting a price on that card of about $5 million, and that's going to give you green card privileges plus. It's going to be a route to citizenship, and wealthy people will be coming into our country by buying this card. They'll be wealthy, and they'll be successful, and they'll be spending a lot of money and paying a lot of taxes and employing a lot of people.
Well, who needs a green card when you can have a gold card? But you have to have green in order to buy gold.
Ooh, good
See what
one.
I did there?
I did.
So a card very on brand during the golden age of America.
Yes, very on brand. This gold card would effectively replace the current EB-5 immigrant investor visa, and the new program would encourage foreign investors to bring in large sums of money by job creation and preserving current jobs.
But it might be some pushback from the left. Well, you know what? Let's bring in our political panel. We're joined today by Melanie Collette. She's a policy analyst for the Committee for a Constructive Tomorrow and a former vice chair for the New Jersey Federation of Republican Women. And we're also joined today by Theron Bond, a Democratic strategist. I can't wait to get into this conversation.
Good morning, ladies. So this new gold card initiative for $5 million would give the wealthy individuals a path towards American citizenship, but would also pay down the national debt. So really a win-win for everyone. Melanie, your thoughts?
Listen, I think it's a great idea and just another example of how innovative President Trump tends to think. A lot of times when we think about looking at our own budgets, we think we have to cut, but people fail to look at the other side. Maybe we can make more money. And I think what President Trump is saying here is I see a diverse avenue stream, multiple streams of income for the United States. And this is just one way to do it. He has included that these people would be completely vetted, but there would be some extra added benefits to becoming a citizen and investing and spending your money there and paying down our debt. And maybe we'll be able to pay for some of the oh so precious left-wing programs that the Democrats like so much.
Wow. Get ready, folks. So, Theron, you were on Newsmax's American Agenda yesterday. Let's take a listen.
Not only CNN, but also MSNBC and so many others have felt pressure from the current administration to remove people that have been outspoken and boldly, and primarily those are Black members of the media. If you can tell me how many Black women there are on cable news at night, then I'd be more than happy to entertain any statement that you make regarding ratings. But we know that that's simply not the case, because we see people that have poor ratings that strategically remain at the top, while Black women in media are consistently sacrificed for those people. And to see someone like Rachel Maddow, who's clearly still at the top of her game, even admit and put her own career on the line for the sake of Joy Reid and so many others, and the other Black and brown anchors who we also see losing their shows, whether they are host or co-host on that network, then we see that it is really not about ratings, and it is about what they see on their face, which should never be the case. But we see it across networks, and we also see it with networks like Newsmax, because if you can tell me how many people there are that look exactly like me on Newsmax, then I'll also be happy to entertain that it's about ratings and not about something else.
Oh my God, I thought that was Robert Patillo for a second, like you never came up for air. But I have to say this. Obviously, I'm a Black anchor that kicks off the day on Newsmax 2, First edition, right? So there are a lot of Blacks that start the day, and there could be more throughout the day and so forth, but Newsmax, along with other stations, have good representation. And I would like to say this, right? You know, I have nothing personal against Joy Reid, but Joy Reid attacked a lot conservatives, but specifically ridiculed Black conservatives, primarily Black men, bringing them on to castrate them on live television. So am I crying for Joy Reid? Absolutely not. So what do you got to say about that? Because I hear a lot about Black women, but nothing when it comes to Black women on a national network trying to castrate black conservative men who dare think for themselves?
Well, here's the thing. Every network specifically has their particular audience, but then every network that has producers and other senior leadership that actually believes in balance, even if they don't agree with the other side, they try to employ that in their segments. And so when you talk about what a station like MSNBC or CNN and who their audiences are, they are vastly different from an audience like Newsmax and Fox News and OAN and several others. The reality is that she pushed the angle that she knew identified with her voice and the voice of her viewers and her base, the same way that people did the same thing to folks during the Biden administration. The reality is that she had an audience that followed her and she told the truth. Unfortunately, the thing that I also said is that black men are often left out of the conversation. But the reality is that if we talk about Newsmax specifically, right, since we rolled the tape, if you wrote the rest of that tape, you also saw where she said she needed to get back to me on that number because that host didn't know. And that's no disrespect to that host. We don't have any personal beef, the same way we don't have any personal beef here. But the reality is, John, you as a black man, you have a host and they will give you a spot before they will give black women a spot on this network and several others. And even if you take a look at Fox News, you have Harris Faulkner. Daytime, if you look at nighttime for any network, the only two are Laura Coates and Abby Phillip, one of which is a panel style show. So if we're being honest, there are very few black men and black women who have shows on cable news.
I gotta make this quick point. Now, Newsmax has experienced exponential growth, but we're still a private company, and we still have some black faces. So there's a lot more upside compared to many of these publicly traded global media outlets that are struggling. So you got to give credit to Newsmax for being a private company that's already making waves in concerning representation.
I see Melanie shaking her head.
We're going to move on to Melanie.
Yeah, Melanie, I want to hear your thoughts.
And can I also say this? Can we get away from the narrative that just because you don't see the numbers that's the problem? That the minute a black woman gets axed or loses her job, that it's simply because she's black. Maybe the reason why Ms. Reed does not have her job anymore is because she says things like this. Reed declared that black women are no longer interested in saving the United States after the election results because black women had the audacity to migrate away from the absolute foolishness that was leftist Democrat policies that didn't help them. Maybe it's because she said things like, black women, I'm here to advise white progressive women planning protests against Trump's victory to exclude black women from their invitations, implying a lack of interest from black women. I have news for Joy Reid. She does not speak for me. She may speak for her base, but the suggestion and her assertion that she constantly speaks for black women when she doesn't. And in her video where she was crying about her job, she had the absolute audacity to say that the things that she was teaching were of God. And I will push back on that every single day. I'd like Ms. Reid, during her time off, to ask herself what color we are when we make it to the other room, should God bless us to do so. She is a race-baiting hater, and that's why she lost her job, because her ratings were down by 53%.
Right. Not to mention that she also called over half of the country Nazis. I think that
let's pivot to
a particular rhetoric that is incredibly offensive. But turning to this, federal judge Lauren Alacant indefinitely blocked President Trump's plan to freeze federal aid. The judge stood by her decision, saying, in the simplest terms, the freeze was, quote, ill-conceived from the beginning. I just want to note that this judge was a DEI hire, and not surprisingly, under the Biden administration, she is standing yet again another judge in the way of Donald Trump's progress. So, Theron, your take.
So here's the thing. There was a statement that President Donald Trump made during a press conference within the last week where there was a governor who mentioned that she was going to follow the law, the federal law. And then Donald Trump says, well, I am the law. Well, he's not. He's not even an attorney. He is not the law. Right now, he is the president. Whether people like that or not, he is the president. But he is not the judge. He is certainly not the jury. He's not even a person who has a JD, let alone can practice law. So he is not not the law, and he, in fact, has skirted the laws. So thank God we have judges who actually know the law and know how to properly follow it and apply it, despite President Donald Trump's repeated times that he tries to skirt the law and make it bend to his will. This is supposed to be about serving the American people, not serving President Donald Trump's interests based on what his interpretation without any legal expertise of the law is.
Interesting. So talking about law, there was a law passed in 1940 that created an immigrant registry because we needed to know who's actually in this country. And President Trump wants to also do that right now. Why? Because we have millions of people roaming around our country that are here illegally, and we don't know who they are. Doesn't this make sense, Melanie?
Absolutely, it makes sense. And as soon as I heard that they were going to do that, I was like, oh boy, the left is going to say, oh my God, they're treating them like criminals. Well, if you're here illegally, you're a low-key criminal. So get those fingerprints. We want to know who you are, where you're from. Do you mean us well? And not only that, are you going to add to our country? It's not America only, but it's America first. But we want to know why you are here, and we want to keep track of your little steps. And it's no different than how other countries do. And that's the part that really drives me absolutely crazy. You can't just come into countries all willy-nilly with no track of where you are. And guess what? And I think America could do this too. The moment your visa's up in places like Germany, they come and knocking at your door and say it's time to roll up out of here.
You know, before I came to Newsmax, there were only two black women in my life that I had to listen to, my mother and my daughter. Now that increased by 100% on Wednesday mornings. With Melanie, Collette, and Farron Bond, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks,